Are we on? Yeah, I think we are. I don't know. Hi everybody, Rachelle Jones, Lunch and Live, 11:45. I wasn't paying good attention. Sorry about that. So I'm doing it on all different. I have a Facebook one going for the first time and an Instagram one, and it looks like I'm not looking at you, but I'm sorry. I was just trying something new because I'm at home today. I'm not in my car, so that's why I got started a little early. Hi. Let's see who we have. Friends of Castaic Lake. Well, hi there. Good to have you, Cheryl. Good to see you today, my friend. So yeah, if you're on Facebook live for the first time, and then I have Instagram going like I usually do. My kids are on spring break, so I'm not doing this from the car this week. I'm doing it from my home office, which is new, different, and the setup is different, and so the phone will probably fall like it usually does, and you'll get a headache and dizzy. Sorry. Okay, so our first question, or well, not our first question, I lied. Our question for today that I chose because I don't know why, but I'm getting this one a lot. A lot of adults are coming to me with this issue. So I just thought, hey, let's talk about it just a little bit. Of course, I can't go into crazy depth here on this 10-minute thing, but it's helpful. And again, the classes are what really make the difference, but a little bit of awareness is always helpful. So, hey Gabs, good to see you, friend. All right, so our question this week is, my child is addicted to pornography. Can your class help? And so I actually get this question about both male and female children. Grief is not gender specific, so it doesn't actually matter if you have a male or female child. I get this question for both. So, and I will tell you pretty much every single adult who comes my way asking if grief recovery method could be helpful for their child who's addicted to pornography. And this works for adults too, but the adult usually tells me, and I have them in therapy, and we're going to therapy, and we're doing these different things. You know, the child goes to therapy on this day, or whatever. Therapy comes to our house, whatever it is, which is great, wonderful, awesome. You recognize that there's something going on. There's obviously something in there with your child that maybe you've missed or you don't know what to do with, and so you got them help, which is phenomenal, outstanding, wonderful. Something to consider. Sorry, I got a little, I think it pauses when I get a text. I don't know. So, therapy. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful tool. But if we're having a grief issue, we may need to add the grief recovery method or the helping children with loss class to help get to the bottom of what's going on. So remember, grief is just the feelings you have or your child has about change or loss. So if they've had moves, a change in their family, someone's died, their dog, their pet, died or ran away, their parents have divorced, or someone close or important to them has divorced, school changes, maybe their teacher went out on maternity leave. We don't know, but there could be all kinds of things happening in your kids' lives, especially just puberty. I mean, that's such a grieving experience. They're going through all these changes. They feel different. They look different. They smell different. Dude, I would be freaking out too. Okay, so therapy is wonderful, but sometimes it can send the message to the child that there's something wrong with them. They're broken. So we're going to send you to the doctor to fix you when they're not necessarily broken. Perhaps they just have a broken heart, which does not mean they're broken. They're not, some deformative human. They're just being human, having a human reaction. So sometimes it can send that message that they need to be fixed, that they're broken, and that creates a judgment. They feel judged sometimes. So something that we really, it's one of your every class commitments in a grief recovery method class or helping children with loss class is to avoid judgment, criticism, and analysis. So if you're just in the class for yourself, you have to, work on that for yourself. If you're in there in a group, you're going to work on that for yourself and the group. And if you're in there learning the tools from a helping children with loss class on how to help your child, you're going to learn to apply that same idea, no judgment, analysis, or criticism, because analysis and criticism is received as judgment by the child. So then we're not really helping them. So we've got to be sure that we are avoiding those judgment, analysis, and criticism stuff. A grief recovery method. So it's a great thing to add to complement whatever therapy you, your child, or your family is going through. Grief recovery method or helping children with loss. Grief recovery method is you working on you. Helping children with loss is you as the adult, 18 or older, coming in to figure out how do I help my child step by step, or the child in my care step by step. And it's good for teachers and when the child's not living with you too. Excuse me, I ate my lunch for Lunch and Live before I got here, so excuse me. Okay, grief recovery, great to add to the therapy, whatever treatment plan you've got going on. But it's for adults. I think we just said that. Regardless of the class you take, I work with adults. But a cool thing in that class is whichever one you take, you are going to learn some things that are going to help you take some responsibility, because we want the kids to come in there. Are you laughing? Because yeah, indigestion. You don't eat rice and beans and stuff right before you go on a video, apparently. Pfft, who knew? So the thing is, we have to learn to take responsibility. There are some things we are most likely doing and saying that are not helping our children. And I say, well, you have to, one of the things of helping children with loss is you go first. Well, I do go first. I do share my emotions. I do cry in front of my child. I do these things, but they're still doing it. Well, there's a whole lot more to it, to taking responsibility for this situation, for your part of the situation. So some of the myths that if you're saying any myth in any type of fashion, don't feel bad, replace the loss, grieve alone, go have some time by yourself, replace the loss, go do this instead. Give it time, be strong, keep busy. Those are myths, and there are other ones that we can find together too, but those are the 6 most common myths that if you're repeating them in any type of way, they're not helping your child. They're keeping you all stuck with whatever is on the inside. It's stuck, it's not going anywhere, and so then what? Well, then we're going to be feeling nuts on the inside. We're going to be all like, have all this energy going on the inside, and no one's taught us what to do with that energy. And gosh, all that energy can, the thing about grief, I want you to hear this. The thing about grief or feelings about change, it's cumulative and it's cumulatively negative. So every single day I have someone say, oh, yeah, I did have this, but it was so long ago. Great. Wonderful. But hear me, that it's cumulative and it's cumulatively negative. So even if you're not aware of how it's affecting your life, I guarantee you it's still in there, and it still is. And until we go back and fix that wound for real, properly, it's always going to have some kind of effect in your life, always. But grief feels bad, right? It builds up. In our kids too, it builds up quickly. It feels bad. So we see sleep changes, eating changes, behavior changes, attitude changes. I mean, does this not describe pre-teen, teen, like 6th grade, sleep, eating, attitude, behavior, concentration changes? You little kids feel grief too, and they start acting out in the classroom, and then we put a label on them, ADD or whatever. Hi there, thanks for joining. And so we stop looking for ways to help all the time. So, or, all the way sometimes. So concentration, homework changes, school changes, maybe their performance, their testing scores change, friend changes. So some ways that grief is going to affect kids, adults too, affects our performance at work, at home, in our relationships, you name it. But the thing is, when we have unresolved grief, we have feelings that are unfinished, they haven't been addressed properly. We feel like on the inside, and we're on this emotional roller coaster. We're high and low and high and low, and they seem fine because they're look at how they're having so much fun, and they were fine today, and I don't understand why we're back down here, and blah 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 blah. It's an emotional roller coaster. You're up and down, up and down. You can find joy in a moment, but you're brought back to your sadness or your feelings and all that. Hey Jojo, and it doesn't feel good, right? So, what do we do? Sometimes we have an emotional explosion, a reaction that doesn't fit a situation, an emotional explosion. But gee whiz, what happens with kids when they have an emotional explosion? You go to your room, they're getting a spanking, they're getting grounded, they're getting stuff taken away, they're getting some kind of consequence. So they may not have their emotional explosion, or it may be too much to hold in and they do have it. And they're hurt. So if they don't want to let out their emotional explosion and lose their have all those consequences, maybe they hold it in, and it drives them bananas on the inside, just as it would to you if your boss was treating you like garbage every single day, but you couldn't say anything for fear of getting fired. You're going to go do what? Engage in some kind of numbing behavior. Adults smoke, drink, we have sex, we just pray about it, which is great if that's your belief, but it's just not going to take your feelings away. We go on long walks, we go meditate, we go blah, blah, blah. We go bury ourselves into work and busyness. We isolate and we go hide. We, drugs, alcohol, you name it, we numb out. Guess what? Kids are humans and they also numb out. Humans are humans. I used to have a friend who's a veterinarian. She would say, Jones, mammals are mammals. Because I would say, can a dog take Benadryl? Can a dog take, like Tylenol? Mammals are mammals, she would tell me. And so little adult or little humans are no different than big humans. Just size, age, and the amount of stuff we've probably accumulated is all the difference. But we numb out. So perhaps you are going first in your home, helping your child with things that have hurt them, as far as like going first, like sharing your emotion, and you cry when things hurt you and you talk about your things. But if you're using any of the myths, you are in part of the reason why your child is acting out with pornography. If you don't act out, you're not using the myths or some of the intellectual comments we would learn in class, but you're numbing out. Guess what your child is learning? Numbing out. And guess what pornography is? It's a way to numb out. There's a release that happens, right? We're adults. We know what orgasms are. Orgasms are a way to calm on the inside, but the thing is, it's short term. So their pornography addiction is feeding them for a short time, but then all the energy bubbles back up because it hasn't been dealt with properly. So therefore, we've got an addiction building. It feels good. I calm down. It just takes me out of the moment. It settles down my energy, but we're not going after the energy properly. And so it stays in there. So they've got to go back and re-engage in whatever numbing behavior they've been dealing with. So for us, it's going to be, like I said, cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, walks, talks, phone calls, venting, blah, 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 all that stuff. But your kids are doing it too. And they can't act out and rage out, road rage. They can't rage out to an adult. They're really tied, guys. We've got to protect our kids. So I'm wondering, what are you doing in your home to avoid feelings? And maybe you're going first. Who else is around them that might have an influence in their life, and they're numbing out to their feelings? They don't address feelings. They say, find the positive, find the good, find the joy, find the silver lining. So if we are filling our kids with this information when they're young, they're experiencing grief from, 2, 3, younger sometimes, 4 or 5. I mean, my daughter was being bullied in kindergarten, second weekend. So if we are filling them with the myths, the intellectual comments that are not helpful, they're watching us. We're putting a bunch of labels on them that aren't actually dealing with the problem. We're saying, you guys are broken, you go get help. How about you as the adult take some responsibility and do some work in the home with them? Oh, amazing and so good. Thank you. I forgot that I have comments on there. Sorry, Renstrom. Thank you, friend. So there it is. Is that our love? Yep, there we are. We're about at time. We as adults have to take responsibility for our part. Our part is we didn't learn this stuff. We didn't learn how to deal with negative emotions. We try to spank it out of them, ground it out of them, consequence the heck out of them, talk and lecture out of them, lesson it out of them, and it just doesn't work. We try to give time to them. They seem fine. Let's keep them busy. Let's have play dates. Let's be with our family. Let's be with cousins. Let's just keep putting school on them. And it doesn't work. They're just humans, just like me and you. They have a bunch of energy that rude not looking at us. Exactly. Cheryl, you're totally right. We've got to be willing to look at what hand we have in the situation. And then, in addition to that, I will show you through a class, either your own or helping children with loss class, how to go back with your child and help them find some pieces of grief in their life, some things that have led them to this need to numb out and their short-term numbings. I'll show you how to help them find it, and then I'll teach you what to do with it. Sort of like first aid. I used to be an ICU nurse, right? And I had I was EMT certified. EMT, yeah. So we would teach each other, put bandages on each other and wrap wounds and stop bleeding and splint breaks and different things. This is kind of the same thing. I'm going to teach you CPR or, those EMT style, first responder style care and steps and actions for the heart. But it's for the heart. So you have to decide, well, you could therapy your kids to death, but if after, a Helping Children with Loss class, there's 2 formats. There's a 6-week format and a 4-week format. So if you're in therapy for month after month, year after year, and you're not seeing a difference, you may want to consider taking a Helping Children with Loss class. Help your kids, guys. This stuff isn't going to go anywhere. And that's why we're seeing young adults, pretty much, young adults in college years, young 20s, young 30s, young 40s. Suicide's going nuts right now. 50s, it doesn't go anywhere. I hope you hear me with that. We've got to protect our kids. We've got to be teaching them these life skills that they could take with them forever. But you've got to be willing to take a class. You've got to be willing to look at your hand in the situation. There's just no two ways about it. So if you have any questions, I'd love to help you or talk with you about those, or email, send me your comments, or the instant messaging, or on both the Facebook site and the Instagram site. You can find my website easily and email me, even phone call me. More difficult because I may be with a client and I can't answer, but I hope that's helpful for you today. I hope that that helps you understand pornography is just a form of numbing. Your child's not bad, damaged, broken. They just, oh, there you go. And I had an alarm go off. There's always something. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for sending in your comment, your question, I mean. I'm thankful to you. Yeah, keep them coming. I love them. I'll talk to you all next time. Bye, everybody. It'll take me like 20